didn't see you there. So I think what we'll do for today's garden club presentation is we'll just do a little garden tour, and then I will hopefully be able to edit that into a tight 15 minutes so I have time to answer the questions that might come after that. So let's go. Here are some flowers. They're supposed to be flowers. You can see they're mostly just green on the deck. I think I'm done with flower seeds. I'm just going to buy flowers and put them in the pots. So go down the deck. I'll try to sound as enthusiastic as I was the first time I gave this tour here on the second one. So this is a bed that doesn't know what it wants to be. I put some sage in there because I had some sage in the strawberries that eventually died. I've got some cucamelons climbing the trellis. Maybe you can see a little bit of basil in there and oregano, but mostly these flowers that I got from Rosemary Fritz have taken over, plus a little dill, have taken over that bed. And the strawberries are kind of working their way over there, so maybe I should let Rosemary's flowers and the strawberries fight it out. So the strawberries are here, and they're done, but they did pretty good this year. The flowers, quote unquote, God, it looks like something from the Addams Family. It looked nice at one time. These things I need to get out of there. They're just going to be little daisy things, but mostly they're a weed. What else about the flower bed? There was some nice iris. I don't know what these things are, but they're pretty when they're not, half dead. Daylilies are coming on, trying to save the day. Back in the back, got some zinnias there, the seeds I got from Liz Ray. I planted lots of flower seeds back there, and you can see flower seeds maybe is not the way for me to go. There's lots of things battling it out back there. This is the fire pit. You can see I've obviously got some sort of poltergeist that drags the chairs into the fire pit. Actually, I just leave those there after I mow. It's sort of an art piece. Okay. Again, this is take 2 on the melon and squash bed. There's the beet that I pulled for an action shot earlier today. What we've got in here is, not sure what kind of melon this is. Sometimes the labels get rearranged. This is the ancient 5,000-year-old, maybe it's half that old, watermelon. I found some seeds in a mummy's pocket in a cave. Butternut squash, hope some of those come for my mom. We've got some cantaloupe. I think there's another cantaloupe back here fighting for survival. Back here in the back, that big thing that seems to be winning is little pumpkins for pies and desserts. This is where the buttercup something did not survive that corner, so fortunately the cantaloupe are going over there to take it over. One of the new things that I planted this year was these little single serving spaghetti squash. We like spaghetti squash in our house. It's starting to feel hard. Maybe I'll harvest that in a little bit. There's a few happening. I lost one of these to the vine borers. I think I lost one of those to the vine borers, but then they seem to have given me a break. There's another one back in there. Let me dance over the cantaloupe. The other new thing I did, ooh, look at this one. Mashed potato squash. And I picked one of these just for fun. I don't think it was ready. This one doesn't seem quite hard enough. But you cook them and scrape them out, and they look like mashed potatoes. They're supposed to taste like mashed potatoes, but they taste kind of like squash, but they're good. Here's those pumpkins. Sweet potatoes, which I planted all around the bed because I've got this terrible grass that crawls in. I don't know if it's Bermuda or some variant evil stuff, that just goes and goes. So maybe the sweet potatoes will help control that. Beets that need to be weeded. It's like teaching the same class 2 hours in a row. I forgot what I said from the video that I lost to this one. But Monday is my weeding day, and I skipped weeding day today. Earlier we had a great action shot of me pulling that beet out, which he's probably about ready to be eaten. Maybe I need to come through here and do that. So that is the squash and melon bed. Okay, let's start this video with this nice big collard, which I never had collards before this year. Grew them for fun and then cooked them with bacon and onions, and man, they were really good. Here's a couple of cabbages. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. My camera's just kind of being wonky as I do this. I'll tell you about that on Friday. Here's where cabbages were. I think they got root rot from all the rain, so I picked them, and we'll try to eat them. And then I put something else in here, maybe spinach. Here you can see some kale. There's my little friend, that little white butterfly. This is the worst of my weeds in here. These are kohlrabi and grass. I need to take care of that. Monday, as I say, I skip Monday. There's some zucchinis in there, but this bed is mostly onions and shallots and leeks down here at this end. Some volunteer dill. If we go around this way, there's the kale that I probably need to pick before those butterfly worms get to them. There's a little okra, and there's a little okra, and here's some more sweet potatoes. Here is where I had garlic, harvested the garlic, and then I put in some things from Stoplight, some peppers, and a couple of melons. While I'm looking at it, that dirt is where I dug my potatoes, and they were about half of them were rotten, I guess, from all the rain and sitting in that wet dirt. You can see my little toad house over there. I've got a toad that looks a lot like one of these dirt blobs, but maybe he's not out right now, or maybe he moved on. I had seen him come out of that house a couple of times, but then he lived here amongst the potatoes, and now there's no more potatoes. Try not to make you too seasick. Here are the green beans. A couple of days ago, they were covered in those Japanese beetles, and you can see just eating them up. I sprayed some stuff on them, and they seem to have keeping them away. The other day, I just shook it, and they just fell. These are these called scarlet runner beans with the red flowers, and then the other two are just Kentucky Wonders. And my plan was just to use one for dried beans and one for green beans, and I hope they recover from those beetles. And obviously need a little bit of weeding down there. In here amongst the weeds, I've got a volunteer tomato plant. These are little, they're about that big, and they're white, and they're sweet. White currant, I think it's called. So I just let him grow there. There's another one down there, but he probably won't get big enough. So here we're moving in where most of the iris are, and this is why my wife is not crazy about iris, because they're pretty a little bit of the time, and then they look like this the rest of the time. Some daylilies, some plants, some flowers that I just put in pots. There's my little razorback friend from Arkansas, because the seeds weren't doing anything in the pots. And then one more thing before I go upload this section. This is my fig. It's a Chicago fig, so it's supposed to be hardy, but it dies back every year, but at least it's coming back taller. You can see it's coming back taller than the year before. And on a previous version of this video, I found some little tiny figs. Boy, that one's really little there. And they just look like a black rotten something that you wouldn't want to eat, but inside it's really nice. All right, now we're on the east side, and this is a little area you can maybe tell. This had a bunch of wood chips last year, and so the grass was slow to grow, so I moved in quick with some garden, and around the edge you can kind of see I did a border again of sweet potatoes. And then here are a couple of raspberries. Here's a little baby over here that I'm going to have to defend from this encroaching monster of a blackberry plant. Oh, and I just spotted something I'm going to have to deal with right now. Look at this. Where's the camera? All right. There's number one, I think. First of the year. Mary Ellen's out of town. Nice. All right. It wasn't quite ready, but I had to eat it anyhow. This is the blueberry, and that's what it's looked like for 3 or 4 years that it's lived out here, but we keep them around anyhow. Planted some cucumbers here, and they're just starting to grow. Here's some bigger cucumbers. In the past, this is a piece of fence that's pushed up against a barbed wire fence because there's horses over there. There's the neighbor's horses. But this stuff, whatever it is, but I hate it, and it's really more encroachy this year than it was last year, so I might have to do something different. But we've got some cucumbers growing along here into this weedy stuff. Carrots, some parsnips. I planted one variety here, and then I planted another variety here, and they didn't do anything. There's some New Zealand spinach in there, and it hadn't grown hardly at all since it's been put in. But I'm pretty happy about these parsnips. I'll get in there and help them. Here are the tomato plants. Ooh, there's one that's turning pink, but it looks like his bottom is rotten. So most of these I'll use in salsa. Some of them I'll just eat. This guy needs to be tied up. These are a different variety, and I'd tell you what they were if I could remember. It's written down somewhere. Next to the tomatoes are the peppers. These are the jalapenos, and those are the habaneros. And the rest of these are sweet peppers, either Jimmy Nardello, which is a red pepper. See if I can find one that's not too dirty. This guy's up off the ground. Pick him without tearing a hole in the plant. Instead, it tore a hole in the pepper. So they look like this, and these are the ones that I just chop up and put in everything. It's a nice sweet pepper. And then I've also have bell peppers. Here's a couple that are growing in there. They're not very tall, but there's peppers on a lot of them. And next to those are, of course, some eggplant. So there's a nice big one. My camera's getting full, so it's kind of glitchy on me. Can't tell what I'm shooting. So I've got some eggplants coming in, and then some zucchinis. Some of these are yellow zucchinis. Kind of like what that's going to look like. Some of them are these like baseball shaped and sized, kind of like that one. He was about halfway there. So there's 4 of those plants here on this side of the garden, and I think I'll end the tour with a picture of the fruit trees, which have never given me any fruit, and the back deck.